Leket Israel is the largest food rescue operation in Israel today. We have the honor of having Leket Israel founder Joseph Gittler and Chen Herzog, the chief economist at BDO, here in our studios to explain what food rescue is and how it can help reduce food waste in Israel. Let's take a look.
A new decade summary report from Leket Israel and BDO shows both the dramatic progress of the last 10 years and the enormous challenges that remain. A decade ago, Israel had no national policy on food waste. Today, after years of pressure from Leket Israel and cooperation with the health and environment ministries, Israel finally has its first national plan to reduce food loss. Still, the cost is staggering: 211 billion shekels in wasted food over 10 years, while 1.5 million Israelis face food insecurity. Joining me now are Joseph Gittler, founder of Leket Israel, and Chen Herzog, chief economist at BDO. Thank you both for joining.
Thank you.
Hi.
So Joseph, let me start with you. Take us back 10 years. There was no policy, no national strategy. Where were we then, and what progress has been made ever since?
So the good news is we now have, as you mentioned, this national policy. There's much more awareness among the population. There's more awareness and interest from the government and different government bodies. And so we're moving in the right direction. The problem is that while Israelis are wasting less, this latest report talks about less waste, going from 300 kilos a year per person to 260 kilos. Our population has grown dramatically since we put out the first report, so the amount of food waste is even greater than it was 10 years ago. Leket's grown over the last 10 years, but we're not close to solving this issue. We need a bigger push, and we need a lot more awareness from the population. And I would say also, this has to bother people. And if it doesn't really bother people, and it's a shame because it's money in your pocket. When people waste food, sometimes it's hard to envision the environmental costs. It's hard to see down that stream of what it does when food goes to waste. So we need to talk to people about their pockets. And especially, we even see waste among those who can't afford it, which is an incredible thing to see.
And Chen, even with the progress, the country lost 26 billion shekels in food just last year. What does that say about where we stand today?
So we have to understand really the problem or the magnitude of food waste. 39% of the food consumed and produced in Israel is lost, it's thrown away. And this causes economic problem, environmental problem, food security and health problem. So let's start from the economic problem. At the end of the day, food loss really means that we, as civilians, pay more. And this number of 211 billion shekels over the last decade means that every household in Israel, every family, lost 70,000 shekels in the last decade. And it all translates to standard of living. If we throw the food at home, of course it costs money. But not only the food that we throw at home is costly, because even when food is lost throughout the entire value chain, in the agriculture, in the industry, in the retail shops, it all translates to higher cost of living. And I think we saw this impact, this economic impact, very clearly in the past 2 years during the wartime, because wartime caused more food loss. We couldn't reach many of the fields. There were not enough workers, agricultural workers, to pick up the food, which resulted in costs increasing. So we had more food waste, more expensive fruits and vegetables. And those people with food insecurity, their situation also only worsened. So the economic equation is very simple. Rather than throwing this food away, we should rescue it and feed the needy, and it's a win-win situation.
Mm-hmm. Now, you, Joseph, have worked with ministries, you pushed for legislation, and helped shape the new national plan. What still needs to be done to turn this momentum into real large-scale change?
So I don't want to get into trouble with the viewers, but we need to make... I'm going to give an example of a change that we need. I love where I live. I love that garbage is picked up 3 times a week. Mm-hmm. We're a little generous in this country when it comes to some of the things that we do. So, for example, you have countries around the world where to open your garbage can, you need to swipe your credit card, okay? And it's weighed. Now, the most expensive and heaviest things we throw away is actually wasted food. And so we need to change the way we look at garbage. We need to change the way we look at food waste. Food, even with everyone's protest about the cost of living in this country and the cost of food, we don't see much change. People take great pride, which I can understand. Everyone wants to be generous. Everyone wants their tables to be full. And of course, we can't take any chances with not having enough food to feed our population. But like most countries, we're producing way more than we need. And so we need to change things around a little bit in our attitudes towards food and towards waste. And maybe when it becomes a little more expensive, as an example, to waste food, then people will start to take it more seriously.
I understand. It's a very interesting thought. Now, the report links food loss directly to rising produce prices. So I'll ask you, Chen, especially since the war, why is reducing food waste now an economic priority and not just a social one?
So what the report illustrates that food rescue is not only philanthropic work, it's also economics. Because what do? We take food that is, we invested a lot of money, a lot of efforts to produce it, to grow it, and then we take all this value and throw it away. So what actually food rescue does is it takes all this lost value and returns it back to the needy. And the economic equation is that to rescue 1 kilogram of food costs about 1 shekel. But the economic benefit of this food is 3.6 shekels. So we take 1 shekel and we convert it or we enlarge it by 3.6 times.
Joseph, let's close with the bigger picture. What are the real benefits of food rescue for Israel, economically, socially, environmentally? Chen just mentioned some. And after a decade of work, what message do you both want Israelis and policymakers to hear right now?
So what I would like these policymakers and the public to hear is something positive. We see the change. We see the interest. People want to waste less. But we'd like to see the supermarket chains, as an example, offering what we call ugly fruits and vegetables at a discount. The kind of fruits and vegetables we never see, but if they were there and were made more affordable, then people would buy them. As large as Leket has become, we will never be big enough to take care of the need. This is only something the public, with us, and the government can do together.
Well, Joseph and Chen of Leket Israel, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And if you want to learn more about Leket Israel, just scan the QR code on your screens now.